The young phenom, Saint Denis, he's just kind of smashing everybody. He just head kicked Matt Frevola and somehow got himself a fight against the number 3 fighter in the division, which is kind of wild. This is what this comes down to, man. Minus 170, price to pay, price of admission for a highly hyped up fighter who has not shown that he can compete at the level of a Dustin Poirier. Is that too high of a price to pay for you?
Absolutely, Derek. I mean, all we've been doing during this entire show, this entire run, 3 years right here, we always talk about how there's an upper echelon of these divisions where these guys just hang out, right? The Dustin Poiriers, the Michael Chandlers, these people that just sit there consistently, having great fights, being able to be the top tier of the division, and having Benoit Saint Denis to jump in from, and don't get me wrong, no disrespect to Matt Frevola, but jump from the steamroller all the way up to the diamond. At minus 170 money, Derek, I was honestly flabbergasted when I saw these odds right here.
Well, I think you're going to be a little more flabbergasted today, my friend, because we're going to pull up the big screen and we're going to take a look at Benoit Saint Denis currently tracking minus 220, plus 180. AJ, I actually cashed a bet in. I'm going to be fully transparent with you guys, right? This is what this program is for. I cashed in a bet for Dustin Poirier like right when this fight got announced, and he was like plus 120, and I was like, oh my god, this is a steal. Little did I know we would come closer to the fight, and this dude is a plus 180 dog right now. So, of course, I'm going to preface all of this by saying my official pick, Benoit Saint Denis. However, I couldn't give you guys a full consensus sheet. I had to do it for the game. Hedging hard on Dustin Poirier. Reason why here, AJ, couple of things. 5-round fight. We have a finisher in Benoit Saint Denis. A lot of people think he's going to take Dustin Poirier down, and it's going to be the end of that. I think that Poirier, a jiu-jitsu black belt, can definitely see himself getting taken down, but this dude, Benoit Saint Denis, is not Habib, right? Are you seeing inklings of that same type of dominance? Why are people so high on the grappling approach of Denis in a 5-round fight? Because I just see him gassing himself out like Gaziv did last week.
Yeah, I don't know why people are so high on that aspect. I do think that's the easiest route, or going to be the most valuable route if you're Benoit Saint Denis to try to win this fight. But at the same time, we've seen Dustin stuff takedowns, be able to get up, and like you're saying, use his jiu-jitsu to be able to really turn the tide of this fight, man. And that's why I said before I was flabbergasted in this one, because I don't see what Benoit Saint Denis can provide to the fight that Dustin Poirier hasn't already seen yet,
One thing. And this is something that I think it's very dangerous, even against a guy who is accredited as the Diamond, Dustin Poirier. Saint Denis is a wild man, bro. And there's one spot that I have seen Poirier's takedown defense really falter, and that's when you're not throwing 1-2 traditional boxing that he could slip and move and do the whole 9. It's just the wild, I'm going to just go in, shoot a takedown, step back, throw a head kick, throw a couple combinations up top, and then come back to the takedown, and then finally get you down and put you down there. Now, on one hand, you might get the takedown. Second hand, you better finish that takedown, because if you don't, you got another 4 rounds ahead of you, buddy, and that's the problem. Let's also not forget, I'm not going to even pull up an image or anything like that, but we're seeing a little bit of a skin infection on Benoit Saint Denis on his forehead right now. You saw it on the Getty images. Now, a lot of people are calling it staph. I actually don't think this is staph. This is another one of those. There's a million skin infections that you can get. The question becomes, are you on antibiotics or are you riding it out? Because if you're riding it out, first off, you're nasty, bro. Like this, I hate how this is such a commonplace thing in this sport. But number 2, if you're not taking antibiotics, there's really nothing that we should be worrying about. If you are, there's some concern. Are you concerned, AJ?
Man, I saw that picture the other day too, Derek, and it made me think, is this narrative going into this fight? I mean, obviously the narrative's against Dustin Poirier, being older, being the underdog, having really a kind of a skid now. And I mean, not necessarily a 3-fight skid, but losing 2 of your last 3 fights, people aren't looking at you the same. So maybe some Poirier fighters right there just trying to make something out of nothing. I am with you, though. If it is staph or if it is an infection, you're on antibiotics. So we've seen how detrimental that could be to fighters going into this one. We'll see, especially in a 5-round fight, man. That makes all the difference.
That's right. And I want to see what the body work is going to look like. These guys are both southpaws. Dustin Poirier's got the nasty rear leg kicks, work the nasty boxing to the body and all that. All I'm saying here, folks, is I think that Benoit Saint Denis, if he's going to get a finish, I think it's going to come early. I have a hard time seeing this come in rounds 3, 4, 5. Dustin Poirier, on the other hand, I can see a TKO. So what do we like about a plus 275 TKO from the Diamond?
Ooh, especially later in the fight, right?
Yeah.
Benoit Saint Denis has been shooting takedowns. He's been missing. He's been having to scramble. And then that big left hand and that slick boxing. And Poirier is able to come out round 4, round 5. You're already a little tired. That's when I really like that TKO. But Dustin has to be careful, because the best time for Benoit Saint Denis to be able to win this fight is in those first 2 rounds.
Exactly, man. So now I can actually pull up the big screen for this because it will show. But if you go all the way down to the bottom of the screen, over 1.5 rounds is minus 240, under is plus 190. So if the over is, yeah, that's what I cash in on. Over 1.5 minus 240. Is that not just a ridiculous? You're just like minus 240 for over 1.5. That's easy call. We're cashing on that all day. I don't know. I saw that, it just jumped out to me. I was like, this is ridiculous. But the point is that if it's going to go that route, you have to imagine you start hitting rounds 2, rounds 3, rounds 4. The more established fighter should be the one in the driver's seat. But you never know when you have a prospect like Benoit Saint-Denis, especially when his submission prop is plus 165. So to kind of round this out, maybe I'm not seeing something, but if you do look at the track record of Saint-Denis, you see a lot of arm triangle chokes. What do you see? A face crank, rear naked choke. I'm not convinced that he's going to be able to do this to this high caliber of a fighter in Dustin Poirier, who has fought in, Charles Oliveira, Habib Nurmagomedov. I mean, it's tough because if you look at the last 10, Poirier has fought primarily strikers. So it is a little bit of tough. Are you giving some wiggle room to Saint-Denis being able to go in and submit him? If he can, then he should fight for the title next, right?
I mean, if he can, absolutely, that's calling for a title shot. If he doesn't, if he gets a submission and doesn't call for a title shot, I'll be shocked. But I don't see it happening, Derek. Like you're saying, the jiu-jitsu strength that Dustin Poirier presents, he hasn't had to lean on it, but I can guarantee you he's been working on it. He knows what Benoit Saint-Denis wants to do, and I don't see Saint-Denis winning a point battle, so he's going to have to be looking for the finish on this one.
All right, last call right here. Apologies to spend so much time on this, but look at the decision props for both fighters. Plus 700 for Poirier, plus 650 for Benoit Saint-Denis. I'm not saying that this fight cannot go the distance, because I definitely think there is some wiggle room for it to hit that. 5 rounds is a long time, but if you're banking on one fighter to hit that, you're banking on Dustin Poirier, right? Like easy plus 700, throw $5 on it, right?
Easy plus 700. My big question, I don't really see where the odds makers are getting that plus 650 from Benoit Saint-Denis, giving him a better chance to win the 5-round fight in decision against a diamond. I don't see it at all.
Only thing I'm thinking is they imagine he could hold Poirier down for a couple rounds, and maybe win it that way. I don't know. I agree with you, though. So the official pick for me, Benoit Saint-Denis. AJ's rolling with Dustin the Diamond Poirier. This is our contentious pick, if you want to call it right there. But Tail, who you feel comfortable with, just know, full disclosure, I am heavily hedging Dustin Poirier. So heavy to the point where my bets are vastly on Dustin Poirier and they're not really on Saint-Denis. But the point is, for the sake of the contest, Benoit Saint-Denis is my official pick. All right,